Okay, here we're going to use Logger Pro to put together a nice graph that has a best fit line along with a maximum minimum slope line. So you can have your data already in Logger Pro if you're using some sort of probe, or you can type it or copy it in. In this case, I'm going to simply select this data, copy that, and paste it straight in here. So there we go. There's my data. Now I may choose to linearize this data if you need to. And let's say that I want to do that. I'm going to move this over to give myself a little space here and here. And I'm going to add a new column. So you can go to Data and New Calculated Column. And here I want to take the square root of y, for example. So I'll go to Variable, y, and I'll take the square root of that. And here I can take the trouble to name it. In this case, I know that the square root of y is going to be my distance. So there it is, short name, and then the units is in meters. If you do need to do exponents, there's superscript abilities, Greek letters, and all that stuff. So you can do that. Done. So there it is. So I've got my distance there. Here, for x, I don't want to call it x, it's actually time, short name t, and the units will be in seconds. So there we go. I'm happy with that. Other options that you have, here you can add the error bars. Let's say that for time, I consider the error too small to bother putting down. And for distance, you have a few options here for error bars. You can do percentages, fixed value, or if you add another column, you can have your own values for each piece of data. So in this case, I'm just going to do fixed value of 0.4. All right, so there we have it. So done, and now it may not show up, but that's because here I'm actually still graphing just the y value. I can just click there and select distance, and it should be time and distance. Looking good. Now, of course, my data is looking small, and I can maximize by just automatically fitting it. Looks much better. You can do any adjustments. The easiest way is to just go on here and just kind of move things around if you want to. So there you go. I'm going to select this data, and now I'm going to want to put in my fit lines. So I'm going to analyze it. Now, if you do a linear fit, that's just going to be a Logger Pro best fit line. Very nice, but we'll want to do the maximum minimum lines. So I'm going to do a curve fit. Now I want these to be linear, so I'm going to select linear, but you can select others. You can also make your own function. So I'm going to select linear, I'm going to do manual. You can actually fiddle around with it and make a best fit here, but I find the graph too small, so I'll say OK. And here, I'll just double click on this line, and I want to show my root mean squared error, which is the average distance, vertical distance that my points are from my line. Although in this case, that doesn't really matter because this is going to be my maximum slope line, but I do want to enable line drag. You may want to do some other changes, but we'll do that later. So we'll mess around with the line drag. Let's make this the maximum slope line, so it's something like that, but notice it's not touching all my uncertainty bars, so I can lower it a bit, and I can't make it quite that steep. Might have to kind of play with it a little bit like that. I'm still not quite getting it. So sometimes it could be a little tricky. There, it looks like I just about have it. Now you could wonder, okay, could you actually kind of lower it some more and make it steeper? You could play with it, so I'm just going to try to do a quick job here. So that's one of them. Now I want to double click here and take off the line drag, and I don't need the root mean squared error for this. Now I'm going to do it again. Curve fit, line, manual, OK. Double click on it, enable the line drag. And I'm going to do the same thing, except this time I'm going to want to make it the least steep line possible. that's touching all of them, and that actually looks pretty good. I know I'm a little close on this one, but let's say that's okay. Now some small changes you might want to make is in appearance. You can choose these lines to be different colors to kind of make them stand out as being different than your best fit line. You might want to make the text bigger so that people can see what you're showing. So same thing here. Appearance, make it slightly bigger. Choose a different color. So it's already looking better, I think. Now for your best fit line, you got two choices. You can go curve fit, do the same thing, manual linear fit, and double click on that one. Now this time I'm going to care about the root mean squared error because I want to make that as small as possible, and I'm going to actually drag that. Now a good rule here, and one last thing, is I'm going to disable the root mean square, the line drag on the second line here. Now the rule is your slope, and you can calculate this on your calculator and just kind of put it in, should be the average of your slope of your maximum minimum one, and your y-intercept should be the average of the two intercepts. Now I'm just kind of eyeballing this. It should also generally intersect all together. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to keep that one black, but I am going to take the line drag off and make the calculation slightly bigger. One more thing, it doesn't really make any sense to have a lot of decimal places here, so you could choose to only indicate a few decimal places or significant figures. That's up to you, and we could do the same thing here while we're at it, just to make it look good and consistent. That's a bit of an important theme here. Okay, so there we have it. So that would be it. I can choose then to add a few things such as a title, and you could look around. There's other things you can put in, legends and whatnot, in there to make it a nice graph. Now, let's say that you wanted the Logger Pro to do the linear best fit line. If you do choose that one, you'll see it should be fairly close to yours, and I think I did a pretty decent job there if you compare the two. And I'm missing here, for some reason, my root mean squared error. There it is. Of course, the computer did a slightly better job, slightly smaller root mean squared error, but that's just a question of time, and you can put it in there. So you can choose to use this one, or show both. It's a bit crowded there, so you might want to show the Logger Pro best fit line on a separate graph. So I'm going to take that out. There we go. It shows that you've done manual fits, which is good. That's all part of the marking. So there you have it.